Not only is tonight the biggest game of the season for the Flames, it's probably the biggest and most important game within the last few years.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jessica Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are going to be talking about, the most important game of the season against the Vancouver Canucks tonight back at the Saddledome. We're going to be talking about capitalizing on Vancouver's weaknesses as well as breaking down the two teams by the numbers and what to watch for and what's on my radar ahead of tonight's matchup. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcast, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And let's just jump right into this because this is the most important game of the season. Vancouver is 1 point behind the Flames in the race for that second wild card spot. The Flames are currently there with 70 points. Vancouver has 69, and they lost against Montreal last night 4-2. And this is the second half of a back-to-back. The Flames have the perfect opportunity to do this, to take this 4-point swing and run away with it. You cannot not take advantage of this team being worn down, I guess, would be the best way to say it. They are Quinn Hughes is playing for the first time since March 1st. So that is a very big deal. And we're going to talk more about that a little bit later, but this team they're very similar to the Flames in terms of not always getting the most out of your star players and, kind of relying on goaltending to bail you out. But I really think that the Flames have the chemistry on their side and the ability to communicate successfully on the ice in order to, you know, to win. And one thing that I really found interesting was today, Frank Saravalli said that he thinks Rick Tocchet is one of the top 5 coaches in the league. And I think that that's a bananas statement. I think that that's just not something I agree with. I think that, the Canucks have had a lot of issues this season. And obviously the coach can only do so much and the players have to step up. But because it's a chemistry issue, I would either assume you would do some sort of roster management in terms of, maybe shaking some lines up, sitting some guys, trying to integrate players into different roles, seeing what you can do, or just doing like team bonding activities. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Go out for a team dinner, host a team dinner, something to just shift the culture. Like you had 2 of your star players beefing publicly, and it wound up with one of them getting traded. And Pettersson is still not having a good season. So I don't know what is going on in Vancouver or the extent of the drama and underlying issues, but I feel like the Flames, because they are such a tight-knit group that believes in themselves, they will be able to get this done tonight. I firmly believe that. They have been playing great in terms of, generating consistent offense. You have Dustin Wolf in net tonight, which I don't want to say that's a guaranteed win because obviously it's not, but you have that on your side. You have a player that technically sound, great athleticism, and just overall a fantastic goaltender. It feels like things are in line for the Flames, and luck is going in on their side there. But I do think that the Flames may um the one thing that I feel like happens to them is they can kind of like play down to their opponent. It reminds me of a few years ago when they lost all 3 games to Chicago. They could not get themselves up for a game against bad teams. And that's not a good sign for any hockey team. It kind of speaks to the status of, motivation and things like that. But this team knows how serious this game is. They know so much is on the line, and they want to prove people wrong. Nothing gets anyone going like spite and proving people wrong. The way that this locker room has rallied around each other, how they have, really focused on the game at hand and not letting trade rumors, lead them astray, or the outside noise penetrate the room to the point where, there's no return. It is just very um, beneficial for the Flames. And I think they've even said it themselves. They are not looking to play an uptight game. They want to have fun out on the ice and they want to win. If you can play with a relaxed mindset of like, this is supposed to be enjoyable versus, oh my God, like, if I don't complete this pass, the season could be over. Or like, you have to look at it with the glass half full rather than half empty. So I think that the Flames do have some sort of like I don't know, like the not the mind games, but the emotional maturity, mental maturity. I'm not really sure what the word I'm looking for there is, but they have the mental capacity to work through adversity and use the opportunity tonight and make the most of it. But coming up next, we are going to break down tonight's matchup by the numbers and just how things might go. Because believe it or not, the Flames are not good on the face-off dot. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200, 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I personally, I have family ties to Syracuse, so my heart's always going to be with Syracuse, as well as some personal bias with UConn, but you can stay in on the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple and easy to use. When I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit fanduel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jessica Belmosto. When looking at this matchup, I was looking for a few different things. What does their point leader and scoring leader look like in comparison to the Flames? What do the special teams look like in comparison? Are there any real, like, outlying statistics that kind of immediately catch your attention? Like, oh, this is significantly better, this is significantly worse, or Is it an even matchup? And like I mentioned before, Calgary has 70 points in that second wild card spot. Vancouver is just outside with 69. This is a big game. This is a very important game for both teams. And when I was looking at their scoring, I was honestly shocked to see that Jake DeBrusk is leading the team with 22 goals. Not because he's like a bad hockey player or anything. I think he's a good hockey player, multiple time 20 goal scorer. Can't ask for much more. But I did not expect it to be him. I thought it was going to be someone like Brock Besser, but he does not. He has 18 goals compared to DeBrusk's 22. The Flames also have 2 goal scoring leaders with 22 goals each, and that would be Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau. Huberdeau's resurgence, resurrection, coming back to life has been so fun to watch this season. And I think as much credit as Dustin Wolf deserves, I think offensively, Jonathan Huberdeau and Kadri deserve some stick taps. The offense has been a cause for concern all season long. But with those two, you kind of know what you're getting there on a regular basis. And whether it's Matt Coronado on that top line or Connor Zary rotating in, you have a pretty decent scoring opportunity there. But the Canucks are 19th in shot attempts. And I got this from the Flames website, who they credited Natural Stat Trick. So this is where I'm getting this data from. But Canucks are 19th overall with shot attempts, and Calgary is 11th. To me, that just does not seem right, because we have watched this team. We have watched this team not be able to score. And part of the issue there is obviously like finishing, but you have to shoot the puck in order to finish. And I guess I was just so surprised for them to be number 1 above the Canucks, but also 11th. That's top half of the league. Like that's not somewhere the Flames typically find themselves in statistics. The Canucks, so they're 23rd and 24th in high danger chances as well. To me, this again speaks to the coaching systems, because there are opportunities for you to generate higher danger chances, and some coaches like Huska and Sutter really thrive, prefer systems that are more volume based, because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you got to do what you can. It doesn't matter if they're good shots. It doesn't matter if it's a good chance. It could be a low danger chance, high danger chance, no danger chance. A shot is a shot to these guys. But if you look at the talent on both of these teams, you could argue that Vancouver has more of that high-end elite talent versus the Flames. It is an argument to be made, but I feel like the Canucks should maybe be higher. But again, Rick Tocchet is a special type of coach that has his way, and he's set in his ways, and there they are. And it's the same thing with Huska. Although I do think that Huska is a little bit more flexible and understanding, which I talked about in yesterday's episode as well. Um, let's talk about special teams, because this made me laugh so hard. Okay, so the Flames are 26th on the penalty kill and the Canucks are 5th. Yes, 5th. Do you guys remember when the Flames had a top 5 penalty kill and everything seemed so right in the world? It was just over a year ago before everyone got traded. It was so nice. Like, that was so special and so fun. Not whatever this is. And for a team that takes a lot of penalties, you would think that they would just try to stay out of the box because you're doing a huge disservice to your teammates. Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to have a top 5 penalty kill when you have Quinn Hughes, as your defenseman. But they're both right around the same spot for power play, 18th and 16th. So I guess I, I'm not overly concerned there, um, unless the Canucks find themselves on the penalty kill or on the power play. But the Flames PK has been pretty good these last few games, and I guess there's not much more you can ask for than just killing a penalty that you brought on yourself. Um, I do think that I would like to see a Jonathan Huberdeau power play goal tonight, if possible. I'm not going to be picky. I don't care when it happens, just as long as it happens. Um, and again, this is what perplexes me because the Canucks have, like, on paper, their roster is significantly better than Calgary's. So what isn't working? What is the issue? Uh, and I don't think that they can crack the case there. So it's just something we're all gonna have to watch unfold. And of course, the Canucks are better at the faceoff dot by 49 to 46%. So not both under 50%, but Canucks heck of a lot closer. Coming up next, we're going to talk about what to watch for tonight and what is on my radar as we head into the biggest game of the season coming up next. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your posts seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in the spot where, your team needs to hire someone immediately and the pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That's exactly what Indeed sponsored job posts come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And it is bananas to me that in just over a month, the Flames' regular season comes to an end. It could be their whole season. I mean, there's still decent amount of hockey to be played left. 19 games. So anything can really happen here. But tonight is the most important game of the season. And, not only is it like a divisional matchup, like those are typically pretty big and important anyways, but both teams are fighting for a wild card spot. Do I think both teams have a chance? Maybe. I don't know. I don't, because I feel like, you can make an argument for the Flames on either side, and I feel like you can say the same thing about Vancouver's tire. I feel like Vancouver is just gonna like continue to crash out, and their off season's gonna look very interesting. But Quinn Hughes returns to the ice tonight, and that is absolutely something everyone should be excited for, except Flames fans, because having him back is a huge advantage for Vancouver, and not necessarily great for the Flames, who don't need to be as heavily defended. They need every opportunity they can to score, and having Quinn Hughes on the ice does not help that. Also, Quinn Hughes he leads the team with 60 points. So you got to worry about him offensively as well as defensively. This is the first game he's played since the beginning of March. Obviously missed 4 Nations. He's been banged up pretty much all season with different types of injuries. So it's I don't think they've ever fully disclosed what's going on, similar to Thatcher Demko, where no one knows what's actually happening. But I'm hopeful, okay? And maybe this is my problem. This is my problem. I think that the Flames can do anything they put their mind to. They find a way regardless of the situation. Look at the first game of the season against Vancouver. They were down 4-0 after the first period. That was horrible. I shut the game off. And you know what they did? They came back and won 6-5 in overtime. That game, I mean, it set the tone for the season, truthfully. It's the first game, but it shows what you can do at any given moment, what you can complete in 60 minutes and then some. So I'm hopeful. I think Zary being back also helps this team's offense. I think the defensive pairings are maybe a little bit better than they were. I mean, again, you have to work with what you got. The Flames' first pairing is Hanley and Weegar. I understand that people don't think Joel Hanley, including myself, is a top pairing defenseman. I think he could probably be your 4th or 5th. But this confidence that he has found in his game has elevated his game. And he talked a little bit about it last week before the trade deadline. His role in Dallas was a 6th or 7th defenseman. So that's kind of the box he put himself in. That's all he had. And then coming to Calgary and having added responsibility gave him more confidence and allowed his game to be taken to another level. I think him and Weegar are great. I think that is a very tough pairing. Both are shutdown defensemen. They do not make defensemen like these two anymore. I just wish there was something else. Not necessarily with that, but with, Ball and Anderson. I want them to be better. I do. I don't know what it is. I think that's just a pairing to keep your eye on. It's been something to keep your eye on all season, truthfully. It has. And especially with Anderson being up for an extension come July 1st. It sounds like that's something the team wants to get done. So maybe he should find it within himself to start playing like an $8 million defenseman. But let's talk about Connor Zary being back on the 4th line and just how happy this makes absolutely no one. I understand, he's coming back from injury and you work your way back. We've seen players come back too soon, immediately jump into the same intensity before the injury, and it, ends up creating more problems down the road and long term. But this doesn't feel like that. His ice time has been bad. You are not developing Connor Zary properly, playing him 13 minutes a night. I do not care that he has moved up to the top line. It's not just about the starting lines, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, because that means you're putting Matt Coronado on the fourth line. Do you know who should be on the fourth line? You can probably pick other wingers to put on the fourth line over those two. And it's that not asset management, that roster management that just, it confuses me beyond belief, because it reminds me so much of Sam Bennett's, that last stretch he had in Calgary, where it just did not work out here. And it felt like the Flames were just completely misusing him. Now, Connor Zary, just like Sam Bennett, play center and wing. The Flames could use him as a center, but they are not. I don't think he has to play every game at center by any means, but that's where I want to see him. I want to see him in that role. More of it. Especially where he went a few years, all his AHL career, without playing center. Literally up until this time last year, he had not touched the center position since juniors. You need to be making the most of this situation, and it feels like we may be heading down a path of complication, and I don't think any of us want that. So that'll do it for me on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for joining me. I would love to hear from you in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you want to leave a nice little review on iTunes. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jessica Belmosto. And let's head down the home stretch. We are rounding third and heading for home. I'll be in Calgary in less than a month, finishing out the last week of the season. 3 home games. Let's do it. I look forward to being back and just, truly meaningful hockey at the Saddledome. Love to see it. But make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. And I will see you all tomorrow with hopefully a positive update.